Good, y'all. A little bit late, but we're in the building. What up, Hammer?
Same shit, different day. I know as you get older, what tends to happen is you just fall asleep at all kinds of hours of the day, and you know.
No, I put my daughter to bed, and I literally fell asleep and woke up a couple minutes ago. I was like, "Oh, fuck." Hammer doesn't even call. And yo, what the fuck you at, bro? Just lets it fucking slide.
To be fair, I know it's your daughter's birthday weekend. I know you have obviously family over, so I'm like, something must be going on, whatever. Let him handle his shit. I was a little worried though, because you're like a hawk with this shit. So after like 10-15, I was like, yo, is this nigga dead?
Oh shit. FF Rile talk was good. Marty, yeah, of course you can send your roster in, bro. The email should be down there in the description. But Dynasty Life, the number 4 ever at gmail.com. I'll type it in the chat so you got it as well. But yeah, send in the roster, and yeah, we got you, bro. We got you. Had you okay, Steve? Yeah, bro. I'll always be all right. I passed the fuck out.
He's just getting old. He's getting old, man. That's what happens when you get old. There's some things you can't fight through anymore. Sleep is one of them.
Crazy, bro. Crazy. Anyway, I guess the biggest OBJ obviously goes over to the Ravens.
Really quick before we delve into a little bit. So for all our viewers out there, the OBJ news hits and Steve sends a message to our group chat that we have with some of the guys in our home league, and he's trying to sucker me into a bet to get a free case of dew. I'm not getting suckered into a free bet, a free case of dew. Basically, no, I don't want any of that action.
So this particular bet. So if you didn't know, me and Hammer had bet a case of Mountain Dew that DJ Moore would if he finishes top 20 or not top 20 next season, right? PPR.
Correct.
So I've got him in the top 20, and Hammer doesn't. So when OBJ news broke, a couple of guys in our chat were talking about it, and I'm like, all right, Hammer, I'll bet you a case. Fucking Rashard Bateman is a better season than OBJ, and Hammer won't do it. He don't have the faith in OBJ. So.
No, I don't, and I don't have the faith in that receiving core. I don't have. Now, listen, I could have took the bet because Bateman gets hurt, OBJ gets hurt.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of 50-50 to me. But I want no part of that action. I feel like if I just made that bet, I'll send you the case of dew now and get it over with if I agree to that bet. So I want no part of that bet. If he went to the Jets, I would have taken that bet.
Maybe.
If OBJ went to the Jets, I may have taken that deal. Which is weird, right? I guess we could dive into it a little bit. Like that seemed like a weird place for him to go, considering the uncertainty with Lamar. It seemed like he just wanted to get paid again because what they give him up to 18 mil with incentives.
Yeah, I mean there was talk, I think, once of OBJ going to the Ravens. I mean, it never happened, but you know, I mean, the way the offense is designed, like it's really hard to
for him to
wide receiver one.
And also really quick, like that's just not a smart move on his part on multiple levels. Number one, because obviously it's a 1-year deal. We pretty much knew he was getting a 1-year deal. And at the very best, what might his stat line look like in that offense? You think that's going to help him parlay it into at least one more deal? Like, what? That it doesn't make any sense on any level for me. I don't know. It seemed like he was just trying to get the most money. He could have went to the Jets. He could have went to multiple places that I felt like he would have had a better opportunity to be more of an impact statistically, fantasy wise, and for him himself trying to parlay that into maybe one more kind of 2 to 3 year deal potentially as he goes into his age 31 season, coming off a major injury.
I think he saw the what was it, 15 mil? It's like 18 with incentives
Up
or
to
something like
18
that.
with incentives, yeah.
Mets fan. There we go. Originally we are from New York. Well, Hammer's still out there, but we are not Jets fans, either of us. That's kind of crazy,
No,
right?
close.
Yeah, no, at that price tag, I think that's the thing is that I think OBJ probably realized nobody's probably going to give him that much.
That
So,
no, no. And the Ravens are desperate for
yeah,
receivers.
they're desperate. They needed, surround Lamar or whoever the QB. You don't even know that yet. Like that's
That
another.
and that's another layer that I was like, what the fuck is that? So
I don't know, man. I don't know. I seen I was on Instagram earlier. I seen fucking Rudy. What's his name?
Rudy Gobert going at
Bear
it.
fucking trying to hammer one of his own teammates.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I actually saw the highlights of that on ESPN when I opened up my app, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" But yeah, so that, like I said, that was really interesting. I just don't like the fit at all. I don't think anybody does, except for him and the money.
Yeah, I mean, they've always said they haven't put it. The one excuse always, or the one reason, which is valid. They never really got a star guy or surrounded him with
Yeah, but
wide
this is
receivers.
like this doesn't fit that.
No, of course. Um,
Maybe in
by,
name, but
by name, it does. But I don't know. Same people that are gonna love OBJ right now and expected resurgence are the same,
you're gonna
Julio
get let
Jones
down.
fans, the same, Michael Thomas fans, these old guys that have these names. You just can't
Trust
you
them.
can't take that chance. Like, I was
No,
having a debate with somebody today on somebody's post about, Keenan Allen. And they were like, "Oh, well, he's never had injury history, da 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 da." And like, it's not about his injury history. It's about what is happening right now. Like at his
age
age, we
regression.
saw it.
Yeah,
The writing is already on the wall. Like we just saw it last year, one hamstring in weeks. Like he just keeps re-injuring it. Because at that age, it's just harder to recover. It's just
right. And you
naturally
can't play through it like you used to. Like D Hop. D Hop's another good example of that, where he used to play through. And I brought this up before, where he used to be able to fight through injuries as you get older. Julio, another perfect example of that, where he used to be able to fight through these injuries. Now they're missing half a season.
yeah, it's just about that time. And like usually it happens pretty quickly. Obviously, right, the fall off. But he's in a great offense. He could definitely still finish. Top 10, top 12 guy. But
Who?
what are the chances of that? Keenan Allen.
Oh, Keenan.
What the chances of that? And are you willing to go down that rabbit hole? Like in redraft, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll take the stab at it, but not like as my wide receiver one. If he's a wide receiver two, you're still kind of like,
Right. That you're
if he
still
produces,
that's still
awesome. But
risky.
if he doesn't, like, you can't say like you didn't see it coming.
Mad risky,
That's
bro.
that's the problem is that if he gets hurt with the hammy again, it's how many weeks is that going to be? So it's natural. But we got two dynasty roster reviews to go over for y'all today. Um, we've got some good ones too. Definitely need some work. Let's pull up the first one here. Let's do so we've got Alex. All right. We got start 10, 12 team superflex. We've got the 106, 110, 112, 302, and 404. We've got 2024 first, 2 seconds, 3/3, and a fourth. 2025 three firsts. I'm guessing maybe 1 or 2 seconds. I probably fucked that up. I guess third, fourth. Anyway, let's check out the roster here real quick. QBs: Deshaun Watson, Stafford, Heineke, and Minshew to go along with Algier, B. Rob, Gibby, Kamara, Chuba, Benjamin, Ty Chandler, Pierre Strong, Jerome Ford. Wide receivers: we've got Ayuk, Elijah Moore, Claypool, Palmer, Gage, Shenault, Watkins, Crowder, Naylor, MVS. Tight ends, we got Knox, Otten, Bellinger, and OJ Howard. We got a lot of dead weight here we can get rid of. But what's your initial thoughts, Hammer, looking at the squad here?
I don't know if Alex is listening, but my first thoughts were oof, OOOF. But
This
yeah,
was an orphan
there's
team, to be fair. This was an orphan team that he did take over.
okay. Okay.
So he says he knows it is pretty bad. But would
Indeed, it
like
is.
any team feedback and thoughts on direction.
Oh yeah, we'll absolutely give you some ways to steer there, but yeah, clearly a rebuild essentially from the ground up.
All right, let's go right into it. We got some context on the bottom here. We've got traded the 105. Oh god, this is good. The 105 for Ayuk and the 112 and Gibby and the
And
2024 third.
I don't mind it. I'm not crazy about it though.
Oh, move back 7 slots. We get Ayuk, we get Gibby, and we get a third. I would say I probably don't like it because
Especially with it being a super flex.
QB. Like that's the one of the
Yeah.
things probably.
Well, he still has the 106, which he'll still be able to get something.
He does. He does. He does still
Potentially.
have the 106. So maybe
So I
that
like
was
that.
thinking like, okay, I do still have the 106. Still don't like it, but it could have been worse. He did get the 112 back, so I guess like Ayuk and Gibby just don't move the needle enough to like, you know, because the 105, if you're talking, you know, super flex, like yeah, you did get the 112, so you still stayed in the first round, but especially a team that you need to rebuild. Like I would have either took the QB there at 5, or you have like JSN or Gibbs coming in. Feel like we could have used that a little bit better, but whatever. We used it. It's gone. Let's move on from that. Let's try and get this team better. He's got some trade offers on the table: the 110, a 24 first for Daniel Jones, and the 201. Okay, and we've got the 106 and a 2025 third for Hollywood and Swift. These are 2 offers he's got on the table right now. What do you think? A 110 and a 2024 first for Daniel Jones and the 201.
I don't know if I like that because this team, that 24 first is probably going to be really valuable
That's
with this team. So I don't like it from that standpoint. Daniel Jones kind of solidifies your super flex spot, but not enough. It's not enough value because your 2024 first is probably going to be in the top 4 to 5 somewhere, like anywhere in that range based on this team. Because there's not a ton of value where you're going to get better by making 1 or 2 trades. So I would actually say no to that because I think that 2024 first is going to be pretty valuable.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Yeah, like you said, if that's then you're spending an early first and a late first, which is, I guess, still not a crazy ton, like value wise, but you get Daniel Jones back and you get 201.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing that. If I'm moving off that, I'm trying to get somebody a little bit better than Daniel Jones. Honestly.
Yeah, that's a tough one. All right, then we got the 106 and the 25 third for Hollywood and Swift. So you get both Hollywood and Swift for the 106.
See, it really depends on who you're actually going to be able to get at the 106. You might be able to get Anthony Richardson, right?
Yeah, let's say, JSN.
Because you do have Stafford who's going to play this year. So if you at the 106 you take Anthony Richardson, that I don't mind that. You know what I mean? So
you got Levis out there as well.
Right. So I think I'm holding on to my draft capital because Swift, you're not buying running backs. We're not doing that. Like We're
Mhm.
not mortgaging our draft capital,
Not ready
especially
to get running back.
no, no, especially at a 106 and a super flex, which is still going to be extremely valuable. So I'm not doing that. Hollywood is a nice piece to add, but like you said, not going to move the needle enough that it's worth giving up that value in the draft. So I don't think I'm taking any of these offers. If you were in a more of a win now mode, these offers would be a little more appealing. But since you're not in a win now mode, I think you need to leverage this draft capital and start to build that way. Unless you get blown away with an offer, like say you offer, your 3 first round picks and somebody for, just say, a Trevor Lawrence, which probably won't happen, but it has to be that level of
Yeah.
blow me away with an offer that I just can't refuse it for me to give up, these valuable draft picks that you're gonna need. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, we might be able to maneuver some better options
More value.
of
Yeah.
instead of taking those. But all right, let's look at some of the studs and the core players. Hammer, who are we looking at?
Uh, Only one pops out at me in the first name on this list. That's really
Yeah,
it.
that's true. Sean Watson is really. I mean, Ayuk is okay. Elijah Moore is okay. They've got some potential. They're going to be good for you, but they're not
Needle
not guys, I
movers.
guess you say you wanna build around, right? They're not
Yeah.
those killer pieces to build around. Um, those
Mm-hmm.
core players, those are guys that you wanna fill in around your core players.
Correct.
So we can definitely use those guys to trade if we need to. But all right, what's some of the team needs, Hammer? What are we looking at? What do we gotta do here?
Yeah, man. You gotta get a wide receiver one on this team.
Yeah,
Even if it's a mid tier wide receiver one, you got to get a wide receiver one on your team because you just don't have that. So that should be your absolute number one trade target.
yeah, we do have a bunch of picks as well. 3 first-round picks, a 106, a 110. For 112 in the first. But all right, what are some trade pieces? What are some trade pieces that we are trying to move? And we'll get into some trade targets, I guess. But yeah, what are we looking at, Hammer?
I don't know how much you're gonna get for him, but he is a name. So Alvin Kamara pops to mind that you could probably move on namesake alone. You can talk him up, and say, hey, listen, he's been a valuable back, whatever the case may be, but that it's a name, so people will listen to it. I don't know how much they will, but that's a guy that I would look to move, even if I have to package a back end like a Camara and a 112 for something. I'm cool with that if I'm getting a Jerry Judy potentially. You know what I mean? Or somebody like that, because the value at the 112 plus getting rid of Camara is worth Judy in my estimation.
Be depending on the GM because obviously number one, we don't know like Kamara's
The
getting
legal
suspended,
situation,
how long
yeah.
that's going to be. On top of that, he is a little bit older. They did go against Jamal Williams. They probably do draft a running back as well. So like we could see, the writing on the wall for Kamara coming here, you know, shortly. We just don't know. But there are going to
Hmm.
be guys that want to try and buy low on them.
Yeah.
Or if you can try and find that person and take advantage, obviously that's going to be tough. But all right, who else we looking at other than Kamara? I mean, almost all the running
Yeah.
backs, right?
ev-
We're
ev-
rebuilding. We got
Everybody.
right.
I don't. I think because, see, it's two running backs and two flexes. So you're looking at 5 wide receivers that you could start. I know that's how you look at it. Um, in terms of the 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes. So you only have to start essentially 2 running backs. So yeah, I mean, I think dead weight was a word you used, and that's definitely what it
Well,
looks like.
that's yeah, like the Naylor, Crowder, Quest Watkins, Shenault, Gage. I mean, this is dead weight that they're not going to really do anything for you. They hold no value basically trade wise. I mean, even throwing them in a trade like that's not getting you over the hump. Complete a trade anyway. So you got some decent backup running backs. Like I like, just Benjamin, Chandler,
The B
Strong.
the B Rob Gibby combination, you might be able to move that for
Mhm.
something nice. So I do like packaging B Rob and Gibby in the same package to make it more appealing to somebody because there is some value to having both of those guys and being able to move them as a package. So I do like that.
Yeah, we got to transfer the little bit of value that we have at the running back position now, into that wide receiver position. We don't have like much to work with, but Algier, I mean, if we can move him before the draft, that's going to be important because if they do draft somebody, like his value is going
It's
to
gonna tank.
down,
Yeah.
obviously. So if we can get rid of him before the draft, that would be great. B Rob and Gibby are probably safe. I don't know if they necessarily bring someone else in. Obviously, we'll see what happens there. But all right. What are we doing, Hammer? What are we looking at here? We got the 106, we got the 110, we got the 112. Now the 110 and the 112, I don't really love those picks in the back end of that first round. They could be useful to give you a little bit of depth, but I don't know if there's a ton of side in those picks. Um, oh, I would love to move, like you said, if you could package the 110, the 112, and a Gibby, Kamara, B Rob, something of that nature. We are always looking to get, some of these young wide receivers, right? The Olaves, the Londons, who is relatively one of the cheaper ones out there to get right now. The Garrett Wilsons, obviously, he's a lot harder to get, but guys like that. Give me some other names, Hammer. Who else we looking to target out here?
We talked about Judy a lot.
Judy, because he's relatively cheap compared to some of the other guys. DK, right? Devonta Smith. Some of these guys that are, you know, those high end wide receiver twos, back end wide receiver one, kind of the junk.
Maybe even a guy like Jamison Williams, you could take a shot at that might not be crazy, crazy expensive, but could have some good upside for you. And he's super young, dude. Like that's how I'm looking at it. I don't know if
Kinda
he's
like
as much of a
Hollywood.
needle mover.
The guy
Yeah.
that sent you the guy that's looking to send you Hollywood, he's obviously looking to come off of Hollywood. I would inquire, you know, what you can do there. I mean, because I'll take Hollywood over that 112.
I was gonna say,
But
how
you
far
take
back
Hollywood
would
over
you
that
go with the
110 as
110,
well.
112?
Yeah. So, we can see what we can work up there. Because if you can get yourself, Hollywood was one of those, and maybe a Judy.
I
Trying to
think
think.
Olave is a little harder to get as well. I think Drake London's a little bit easier to
Lave's gonna be harder to
negotiate.
get picked. London's gonna be a little bit easier. DK maybe a little bit easier. T. Higgins possibly be a little bit easier to get. Onto Smith maybe. What am I missing?
Or here's another tack you could take. Do you
Uh,
package some of those? Do you package maybe the 106 and the 110 and try and move up? Maybe move up in the draft. But at that point, are you just taking the quarterback then?
yeah, you could. You could do that too. If you can get into the top 5, then you can guarantee yourself, one of the top 3 QBs, possibly. If not, you've got JSN, you've got Gibbs. So yeah, if you can get into the top 5, I'm definitely okay with that. Can we what are we even willing to give up to get there? What do we have? Like, I like Elijah Moore just to hold if you can, unless you're combining one of these picks to tier up, to one of these wide receivers that we're talking about here.
I would put the Gibby B Rob package up there, and if you got to attach the 112 to it, so be it. At this point, honestly,
Yeah, do that.
look out there, look at what teams potentially need running backs. Maybe look at a team that's in contention. Maybe they're wide receiver heavy and they're lacking running backs because that nice handcuff, I think that's probably the most value you have at this point, in my estimation. And obviously, maybe attaching some of those back end first round picks. I'm pretty sure you want to keep the 106. The only way I would give up the 106 is if I'm moving up.
Yeah, I mean, because the other problem is that we need a quarterback here as well. I mean,
I that's
So do we?
Do you go after the quarterback first, or do you go after a wide receiver? Considering
That's
that,
one of that's the that's one of the decisions you got to make. We've got 2025 first, so I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to be willing to take any of those right now. Because that's the other thing. Do we just tear it all down and wait till 2025? I don't feel like
no, I think you
like
got to
2025
start
is
build.
long out. Like this could take a shorter amount of time than that, because let's just say we get rid of Algier, we get rid of B Rob. We got all these picks here. Like if you're able to, let's just say you're able to keep somehow Ayuk and Moore, and somehow get some of the guys we were talking about, Judy or any of those. Like I'm okay with Ayuk and Moore in the flex spots. Like if we can get three more solid wide receivers, then you could work around.
I don't think there's enough value here to get three. You got to
No,
start with
no.
one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Now,
You got to decide what you're
do we
gonna
take
what you're
do we
gonna
take
take the
do
value.
we just say fuck it, and do we take Stafford, and do we combine Stafford with a pick maybe and tier up at QB to get a young QB? Do we
Are
trade
you
Stafford and basically just try and punt the season, wait it out until 20? I mean, I just feel like 2025, like 3 firsts are awesome in 25, but are we really going to punt it for,
2
2 more
seasons?
years until we get to 2025 where we got the 3 firsts? And then on top of that, we got to wait for those guys to develop. Like, so that's
No,
like the tough part. We've got some assets like later on.
I think you have to look at it in terms of what is the most valuable assets on my team and get a single building block. You can't worry about 3 or 4 steps ahead at this point with this team. You have to worry about what's the first step. And I think the first step, like you said, was, are we going to go and get the quarterback, or are we going to use that value and get the wide receiver? You have to decide which one and then make a move. Now, at the quarterback position, but with the 106, like you said, you could still, Levis and Richardson still should be there. Like you'll get something of
One of them,
value. Right.
one of them
So
should be there.
is
If
that,
I had to guess, it would be Levis.
I would agree.
That's like the tough spot. It's like Levis, JSN, Gibbs. Like, who's going to
See,
be
that's
there at that 106? You want to take the best player available. If JSN is
then
there,
maybe you have to take him.
and I'd love to take him. I think that's a good, you know, way to kind of start over. You're starting over real young now. Do we get rid of Stafford and play that game? Do we take the value out of Stafford while he's still there? He is a QB. Do we take that value?
What is the value though?
Punt the
That's
Q
the
and punt the
question.
QB and punt that QB position and wait till later on to fix that in 24 or 25 with our draft pick. Like that's the other part. Like we know we're basically not competing right now, so Stafford doesn't really do anything for us except hold value as a starting QB.
I would agree with that. I think somebody out there will need a Stafford. Like there is some value in a super flex in a 12, what is it, 12 team super flex? Yeah. So you're essentially looking at 24 quarterbacks potentially starting. So he does still hold some value. I think he is good enough to be a super flex quarterback at this position, at this point in time. But what is his true value? What can you realistically get for him?
Can we move like Stafford in a pick and try and get one of these guys we always tell everybody to get?
Kyler?
Mars, the Kylers, and even Herbert. Like I've seen Herbert getting tossed around now. Tua, I mean, guys that can take more chances. I love going after Kyle. There goes. Well, Marty says it here. Going after cheaper guys because of injury like Kyle. Yeah, I absolutely love going after Kyler. It's a guy that we've been targeting heavily for everybody, really, because he's just available. He's a guy that
Yeah.
he's not normally available if he's not injured, but because he's injured, like people are just have him.
10?
value.
And also don't forget they got a whole new coaching staff in there. DeAndre Hopkins is probably not going to be on that roster much longer. So the perception for Kyler is trending down, which is good for people like this team that could buy him for a relatively reasonable price. Say Matthew Stafford and the 110 or Matthew Stafford and the 112, you know?
Mhm.
I don't know if I would take that if I was on the Kyler end, but it's worth offering up there, you know? Fuck it. If you have to give up B. Rob and Gibby, would you give up Stafford, B. Rob and Gibby for Kyler?
Yeah.
Maybe that's an offer, you know? So
Is somebody gonna actually take that? But take a look at those teams. Like who needs running backs? See who needs running backs right
mhm,
now, and kind of start from there. Like who's the QBs they have? Who are some wide receivers maybe that you can target on those particular teams? Like sometimes it's not necessarily select players that you have to go after, but certain teams. Like
teams.
what do
Mhm,
those teams need? Because
yep,
if you're giving a team something they need, like you can get something that you need, right? So
yep.
sometimes
And
you got to look at it more in that sense as well. So what exactly do we wind up doing here? I'm trying to still figure out the best course of
that
action.
yeah, that
'Cause I didn't really think
106 is
about any of this
tricky.
stuff beforehand. I just plug everything up and we just bad boy live. Brandon said just got offered George Pickens and Javante Williams. Okay. For what? For what,
Yeah,
Brandon?
what are you giving up?
You got offered George Pickens and Javante. All right. What are they asking for in return? Let's see if we could get that done for you.
That'd be solid. That'd be solid pickups, depending on what
This is
what they're
my
asking.
think the biggest problem just killing me is these fucking 3 firsts in 2025 because do we
For
just
me,
do
for,
we tear everything down?
no, but for me, and I think you brought up the best point. Just because you have those 3 firsts in 2025 doesn't mean all three of those first round picks are going to come in and you're going to be a super team. You may have to wait 2 years on them, whatever. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't even go into it with that in mind. I'm looking at right now I have to go out there and leverage and get at least one building block player. And then once the season starts, then the 2024 first round becomes really valuable. So that'll be
I think I'm shit, man. We got to move Stafford, I think.
is he movable?
The quarterback. People need quarterbacks. I mean, what we can get for him? Can we get a first from him? We're
I
gonna have
would
to
even
give the
I
piece
would
on
feel
Stafford.
I wouldn't even want to get the draft compensation. I would want to go the route you said, package Stafford with maybe the 110 and try and get Kyler, maybe Stafford with B Rob and Gibby and
Even the
get
one
Kyler.
to it. Like if I can get Kyler for the Stafford and the 1-6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got to target some of these wide receivers. We have to get one of these guys to see who needs running back, even quarterback, Stafford. I'm even open to trading Watson as well. Like if you could find the right package. Thing is, like right now, he's one of those guys we tell everybody to go get because that perceived value is down because he's just available. Um, yeah, there's
Yeah,
one
I
of
think
these
I think I'm holding on to Watson because he is.
I want to, of course.
Yeah, no, unless somebody's going to give you a top 4 pick for Watson, I don't think
Oh,
I'm
he
moving
said
off
ain't no one trying to wait till 2025. I know.
that. I
I know.
agree.
Well,
I
he
agree.
stacked them. He stacked up the 2025 picks. Like
Which is fine.
it is fine. It's just the issue with it is it's so far away that we can't really extract that value yet. So he's got some
So much
value
can
like kind
happen,
of
right?
sitting there that we can't grab, that we can't necessarily use. It's not that valuable yet until we start obviously getting closer to that time. Caddy, what
Caddy,
up, Caddy? been a
What up,
while.
man?
Saquon is good,
Hell
brother.
yeah.
Brandon says, sorry, George Pickens, Javante, and the 103, which will be Jackson Smith and Jigba, and the 107. Click on the send button. All right, hold
So
on.
he's getting Pickens,
Trying to
Javante,
figure
the
this out.
103, and the 107 for Saquon and Drake London.
You're giving. Are you which side are you getting? All right, we're getting Pickens,
He's getting the
Javante,
Pickens, yeah,
103,
and the
Pickens,
107.
Javante, and JSN for the 107, Saquon, and Drake London.
No, he's getting the 107 as well.
Getting the 107 as well. Okay, and you're only giving up Saquon and Drake London.
I think I like that,
Yeah, of
honestly.
course. I definitely like that. I like that value wise. I mean, I like London over Pickens, of course. I do like Saquon over Javante, but Javante is a lot longer. But then you get JSN and you get the 107 on top of that. So yeah, I mean, and
It's a
then you
1
can
QB 10 team, so the 107 is not crazy valuable.
yeah, all right, one QB that makes it all right. So if you definitely know you're getting JSN at the 1-3. It is one QB. It is 10 team. I'm
So that 107 is kind
see
of
how many
nothing.
starters. How many starters is it, Brandon? Is it like 8 starters? Is it 10 starters? How many offensive starters do we have to play? Because if this is 10 team and even still probably you're getting JSN, you're getting Pickens, you're getting Javante. Yeah, I definitely like that side as far as the value is concerned. Obviously, you can't expect much from Javante maybe for this year, but you're getting JSN, which I absolutely love. And you get George Pickens on top of that. So I have JSN in London right there, like in the same range. So that's almost like a wash. Saquon and Javante, or you get Pickens and you get a 107. So you get Pickens and a 107 for yeah. I still like that side. 9 starters. Okay, so still almost like a start 8 if it was 12 team mathematically. But we need the hammers.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely need the hammers. Uh, in that case, of course, I love the Saquon part. But yeah, give me the other side. I'm still taking the other side. You got a ton of value there. So I'll take that. I'll take that. You taking that hammer?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, initially I was like, hell yeah, take that. But I had a little bit of pause when I saw it was just one quarterback and only 10 teams. And I went, maybe that 107 isn't as valuable as it initially appeared to be. But I think I still do like the overall value of it. Yeah, I think I'm taking that because I do like the overall value. And remember, you can always flip that 107 into something else if you really need to.
Yeah, of course. You said just a big fan of London. I'm a huge fan of London as well, so I know it hurts to get rid of. But if I'm getting JSN plus for Drake London, like I'll take that. Take
Yeah,
that.
and
107
that's how you have to look at it. Yeah.
maybe ask for 2024 first instead of the 107. Yeah, because it's a 10 team like and it's a 1 QB. I'm totally fine
Mm-hmm.
with that and just pick, is better next year. Um or at worst is the same, a 107. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Um wouldn't mind it. But how do other guys in your league actually feel about these picks? Because can you just trade the 107 for something?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that also matters as well. But all right, I'm still trying to figure out what route that I want to go here. I'm okay with dumping Stafford, waiting on QB or just rolling with whatever we can get almost. So Stafford, Algier, B. Rob, Gibby, Kamara, all them got to somehow go, and we need to transfer over to this wide receiver position. We need
Somehow.
value to get over to this damn wide receiver. So can we trade the 106 and the 110 to get us a wide receiver?
I don't know, because if JSN is at the 106, I think I'd rather just have him.
Huh?
I don't know, because I think if JSN is at the 106, I'd rather just have him.
He is there at the 106. Yeah. I mean, do we wait and just see who's available at the 106 at that point?
You know,
From there?
because then that's additional value I don't have to give up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could just make the pick, and then with whatever other value I have, now I can maybe go out and get Kyler with the 110, the 110, the 112, and Stafford.
Maybe we take the best player available at 106, whether that's QB, or JSN. Maybe that's the best course of action for the 106. And then we still got the 110, we still got the 112. So we got those to play with.
Right.
We got those to play with, because if we got JSN, Ayuk, and Elijah Moore,
bro, and this is a 12
and the 112, huh?
Right, in a 12-team super flex, the 110 and the 112 hold a little more value.
Yeah, it holds a little more value. I still probably don't want to make those picks really if I don't have to.
No, but I'm saying is the value, like trade value. They have better trade value.
Yeah, of course. All right, so yeah, I think we hold on to the 106, take the best player available. That's probably going to be our best course of action, unless you can get a QB for that 106, which I probably doubt. We've got the 110, we got the 112, we got Stafford, we got all these running backs to work with to come off of there to try and beef up this wide receiver room. Let's go over some of the guys we're looking at again.
Hold on, here's a question. Here's a question I do have in a predicament that might come up, right? So say he's at the 106 and he has a chance at, say, Anthony Richardson. Would you rather have Anthony Richardson or trade the 106 for Kyler?
Oh, I'd rather have Kyler. I want the proven guy. I mean, Anthony Richardson's got a crazy amount of upside, but why take that chance if you can just take a proven guy that's top 10 anyway? I mean,
yeah.
You know, the difference between Kyler Murray and Anthony Richardson, if everything goes exactly right and according to plan and all the stars align, I mean, it's just a risk. Why?
What you're getting at a Kyler.
You're telling me I can trade the rookie pick and take out the risk of them flopping like the Zach Wilsons and the Baker Mayfields and all of that. You're telling me I can take away the risk and get a proven guy for one first round pick, or even a little bit more than that, then yeah.
I'm just saying, because that could be a situation. That could be a situation that presents itself. So
yeah, no, definitely. I'd love if we can take out the risk, then of course. I mean, last week we live on air with the 104, one first round pick for Kyler Murray, the guy we were able to pull off. And that's just a steal. We're taking away the risk of a rookie QB coming in, and we're getting a proven one. I mean, if you can take out that risk, why not, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, then I'd be looking to do others with that. Yeah, can we trade Stafford? We got the 110, the 112. I mean, we talked about some guys we could target there, right? The Kylers, the Lamars. Who else are we looking at?
I don't know if you're inclined to go after Jared Goff because he's a little bit older. I think you want to parlay that into something. I always bring him up, but he's not super old. But
he's not that much older. You look at Deshaun Watson. I mean, problem with Goff is he doesn't have the contract. Like we don't have that security yet. And I think he will get the contract. I hope that he does, but we don't have that security yet. And what we want and what the NFL wants is obviously two different things. So Minshew, any trade value? I mean, he is a QB, so he's got some kind of value, but we don't know if he's going to be starting. We don't even know. We have no idea. So,
what team is he on now?
He doesn't have much now. He's on the Colts.
Yeah, and the Colts are probably going to take CJ Stroud.
Daniel Jones, it just sucks because I don't want to give up my first, but this team that we have, like I don't want to really give up my first for it. Because Daniel Jones obviously does help. You do get the 201 back. So moving from the 110 to the 201 is not bad at all. We moved back only 3 slots, but
and you're giving up that 24 first, which could be valuable.
It could be an early first and a late first, which is reasonable to get a QB. And now that I'm
no, but there's not for that QB. If it was somebody with a little more,
you know, who else are you going to buy for that kind of price? So it's just rough. All right, so yeah, QBs we can target. Those are the guys that we're looking at. Lamar.
maybe another QB, Jordan Love. I'm not. I'm throwing it out there. I'm not saying with any sort of conviction. Laugh at me all you want.
Oh, it's not my 24 first. Okay, the previous guy traded it. Okay, where is this 2024 first going to land, bro? Where is this 2024 first going to land? Because that
makes a
may
big
change
difference.
things. I mean, if this is
makes a big difference.
if this is a pretty good team, then yeah, I'm okay with giving up to play first and coming out with Daniel Jones. And you're getting the 201 anyway, so you just move back. You're basically giving up a mid to late first.
Yeah.
24 first that I have as contenders. He was runner up. So yeah, I'm doing it then. I think I'll take that. 110 and a late 2024 first. You get Daniel Jones and you get the 201 for this year as well. So feel a little more.
I agree with that because it has to be later than the 110, obviously, and so it's probably the 111 because he's got the 112. Oh no, that's the 24 first. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's 2024 first. Okay, so I like that. All right, boom. Let's do this trade. Okay, let's do this trade. Now that we have a little more content, I should have asked that, but I didn't. All right, so that gives us
We
a
just
little.
assumed. We just assumed though because
That gives us a little bit more context. Okay, so now we've got Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones, and Matt
Stafford. See if you can move Stafford.
You're still trying to move Stafford because you at least have a little bit of security with Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Just to extract the value from Stafford that we have it, let's try and get it to that wide receiver position. So now we're going to have the 106, we're going to have the 112 and the 201. Oh, all right. So we got Daniel Jones, we got JSN. Still need we're trying to get at least two more heavy hitter wide receivers. We've got 110 and the 112 and the 201 with some of the running backs that we have here. Worst comes to worst, we make these picks. But again, I'm not excited about it. Can we move off of some of these picks?
Maybe offer a B-Rob Gibby in the 112 for Judy.
Yeah, let's look at some of those wide receivers that we were looking to target again. Judy, Vonta Smith, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Olave, Drake London. I think those are some of the main guys we're looking at. Hollywood Brown.
He has an offer for Hollywood, but I wouldn't give up the 106.
Yeah, I don't want to give up the 106. I like to get Hollywood, and that means that the guy's willing to trade him. So,
B. Robin Gibby for Hollywood
and Swift for the 106. Can we do
B. Rob Gibby in the 112 for Hollywood and Swift?
Probably won't even try to get to it unless he's just going to be free. But we'll have the 112. Can we give up the 112? Hollywood?
Straight up.
Or if he throws a little something on top, I mean,
the 201 if he gets it.
I don't think we got to give up the 112 and the 201.
I mean, Hollywood's only 25, so.
Well, I'm just trying to think if this guy was trying to give you Hollywood and Swift. I don't know if he was trying to go QB there. I'm just trying to take the value that this guy perceived.
Stafford and the 112.
Yeah.
Stafford in the 201. If you get Daniel Jones.
I would see what it's going to cost to get Hollywood. Just by looking at it, maybe he does take the 112 for just Hollywood. You got to throw in a third, fourth. I mean, something. It's close enough in value. I mean, it just depends what this guy feels about Hollywood. I think Hollywood perfectly kind of it's in there for you. I mean, then you're rolling with JSN, Hollywood, Elijah Moore, and Brandon Ayuk with Danny Jones. I mean, and we're not looking half bad as we are right now.
I
So
actually don't mind that, yeah. But I
you know,
think keep that 106, make that 106 pick. I think
guy that
that's what
wants
you
the
need to do.
106 would draft a wide receiver. His QBs are set.
So he wouldn't need Stafford. So he's basically trying to move off of Hollywood and get a JSN. That's what he's trying to do. The guy who wants the 106.
Or he would take Gibbs. He said, yeah. I mean, and those are the guys that you're going to take that one. Whether it's the QB, JSN, or Gibbs, whatever you feel, you know, the best there. If JSN is there, I'd love to take JSN. I don't know what people in your league are going to be, who they're going to be looking at with those earlier picks, but
So now here's the thing. Say he does make the trade for Daniel Jones, right?
Mhm.
And he's at the 106, but there's no JSN, say Will Levis or Anthony Richardson's available. Are you still taking that?
if you said Anthony Richardson, JSN, and Levis are not available,
No, yeah.
you got Bijan, you got Bryce, you got CJ. Because then after that, it's like we don't. People think differently a ton after that. You got Anthony Richardson, Will Levis. That's five. So JSN or Gibbs or Will Levis, one of them have to be available. They can't mathematically kind of
Mm-hmm.
right. So you're gonna get one of those guys. So
Yeah, I think
JSN
this.
Levis are gone, then you just take Gibbs. Just take the best player available. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
keep them. You take them for the value and then you move them. Or maybe when you're up and you're on the clock on that pick and Gibbs is there, maybe at that time you make the trade. Like people are willing to give up more kind of at that particular time because they're
Once they see where
feeling like
the
they
pick
need to go
falls,
and
yeah.
get their guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you could take Gibbs and then you can have that tremendous value and move off of Gibbs for a wide receiver. So
I think I
definitely got
agree.
some options there. But yeah, I think we take the Daniel Jones trade. We draft the best player available at 106. And then we're trying to move the 112 to 201, package
So
that
he
up
can still
with
get Hollywood. Yeah.
some running backs or wide receivers and see if we could get Hollywood because that'll be great. That gives you four, solid guys you can play the wide receivers and the flex positions. I mean, and we're just looking at running backs. We've got a first for next year. We got 2 seconds, 3 thirds, but at least we're starting to, put together a team that can
You got some
compete
blocks.
with
You got
what
some building blocks.
you got some
Mm-hmm.
building blocks to try and build around there. So yeah, I think that's the best route. Let us know, what happens. You take this trade or you're not going to take that Danny Jones trade. And keep us in tune to what happens from there. Hit us up in the DMs. We'll stay tuned with you. Make sure we
Mm-hmm.
pull off some other trades as well, and just try and take this and switch this over because it's rough, especially some of these orphan teams where you just don't have a ton
Anything.
of assets. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we've got a bunch of assets that are years down the road in 2025 that just don't help us, right now at this particular time. But
But that will be valuable.
time, hell yeah.
That will be valuable before you know it. And listen, fuck it. At that point, if they are valuable enough, then you could package those up and really get yourself a hammer.
Well, yeah. So starting like if you say starting now, if we make some of these trades and that now you're starting to shape up a little bit, when that 2025 does come, we're not competing in 2023. Don't think unless you can pull off some kind of miracle or somebody or Ayuk and Elijah Moore, start going off or something like that. But 2024 is going to be relatively rough, possibly as well. But then once you get to the 2025, you've got those picks. And now
You
you
got
can
some
use those
potential.
picks to tier up on guys, because you don't have to necessarily make those picks, but that could be the year that you use those picks in conjunction with the value that you've built up from the trades that we're making now. Um, and that could take your team to the next level because you've got three valuable picks now, in the first round. Who knows where they're going to land, but now you've got those picks that you can mess with to now shape your team. So by 2025, we should be ready to really,
Hmm.
really contend. I think that's probably the best case scenario that we're looking at here.
Yeah, but I think you do have, like I said, especially with this sort of team, you kind of have to have a plan because
Yeah,
there's not a ton of value. So you have to really have a plan. Okay, with the 106, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the Daniel Jones deal, and then I'm going to try and package and get Hollywood. I think those are the three key moves that we really talked about to set yourself up. Use the
so
106, make the trade for
that's
Daniel Jones, and then see if you could still get Hollywood after that.
yeah. I mean that's probably the route that I would want to go. Or I mean, if you wanted to just have fun with it and just tear this whole bitch down because you do have the 2025 first. If you wanted to wait, if this is just a team you want to take your time and try and build up, I mean, come off of Watson, come off of Stafford, try and get some of these early picks and just kind of rebuild, from there. That's going to be, a little bit tougher. That's going to take a little bit
It's more
more
of a gamble. Yeah.
um, more of a gamble as well. But sometimes people take on orphan teams and they just want to have fun with it, see if they can somehow, get that team better, down the road. And we do have some down the road assets in 2025. So just throwing it out there. If you did want to do that, that's something that you can also, go down that route. As well, because if your team, if you get rid of Watson and Stafford, transfer over that to the wide receiver position, and your team sucks because you don't have QBs now. The 2024 first is not yours. I forgot. Fuck, it's a late one. I was gonna say then in 2025 you start drafting QBs. No, it's even tough at that point because the 2024 first is not yours. If it was, and you decided to just break this whole thing down, it pretty much guarantees you one of the top quarterbacks next year, and can kind of start to shape around at that point. But since it's not your first, next year you don't really get. There's no incentive to tear it all down because next year, like you're not getting anything out of it. You're waiting until 25. So
Yeah, I think you want to start building your pillars now.
yeah,
In my
I would do that
opinion.
little by little. I think, yeah, like you said, the
Yeah.
Danny Jones, and if we're able to get the Hollywood, that'd be great for those late picks there. So 106 best player available. We getting rid of the 110. So we got the 112 and the 201. Best picks probably are going to be running backs at that point. Not set at tight end either, but
Think you got bigger
have to
fish to
go
fry
with
than tight
Knox.
end.
Maybe you draft a tight end at the 112, 201 if that's the best player available there as well. If we're not able to get Hollywood, right? You've got
True.
the Michael Mayers, the Kincaids, right? Some really good tight ends that are coming out. Maybe you take one of those guys, depending on who's on the board at that particular time. If you can't come off that 112 and 201, but yeah, those are definitely picks I want to try and move. I'm not really trying to make those picks, so let's try and combine those. Again, let us know what happens. Definitely let us know what happens there. But thanks for sending in the roster. Appreciate you. Hunter Renfro, good fit in Minnesota. Mm, yes. I mean, feel like I like KJ in the like he's decent in the slot. Like, how much better are we going to be with Renfro? KJ. I mean, I don't know. It could be
Renfro's my
good. I mean,
guy,
I
but
don't think
he,
he needs
he, he
anything
let me
really.
down.
What?
Renfro's my guy, but he let me down this year big time.
I mean, I mess with Renfro, but I mean, I guess from a fantasy standpoint, I don't give a shit. But from a NFL standpoint, I guess, he'd be a good fit if you think about it. If you think about it that way. But honestly, we might just draft somebody.
Which makes more sense because then you have to pay Renfro.
Yeah.
And this is the last year of his deal with Vegas.
I mean, we've seen Addison, Zay Flowers. We've seen a couple of these guys now. They're bringing in for workouts. They're looking at. So let's see who winds up falling. I don't know.
What pick do they have? Like 20,
20 something.
22?
We got one more roster review to do. Let's get into this bad boy.
Let's do it.
We've got Gabriel.
Ooh, any team that starts off with Joe Burrow, I'm a fan of.
Yeah, a couple good things, couple bad things about this
Now
one.
this,
But let's get to it. So this is 12-team Superflex tight end premium start 10. We've got the 103, 203, 211, 301, 303, 309, 312, and 403. 2024, we've got a first, a second, two-thirds, and a fourth. And let's get into this roster here. QBs, we've got Smoking Cigar, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Flacco, Mayfield, White, and Purdy. Running backs, we've got ETN, Algier, McKinnon, Madison, Vaughn, and Pollard. And then at wide receiver, we've got Watson, Thornton,
nothing,
Hardman, Parker, and literally a bunch of trash.
nothing
Tight
at
end,
wide.
we've got Joku Ozama, however the fuck you say it, Jaceki, Irv Smith, and Turner, who there's a lot of guys that the whole second row of wide receivers can literally just be dropped.
I agree.
Turner can be dropped.
Flacco, of
Be
course.
probably dropped at this point too. But anyway, what are we looking at, Hammer? What do you think about this team just right off the bat? Yeah, and Flacco definitely got to get the hell up out of there after everybody.
Um, so I like it. There's some things I like, and there's some things I don't like. Obviously, you love the Joe Burrow. You like the Jared Goff. I've been talking about Jared Goff for a while now, and one of those buy quarterbacks. So he's a perfect super flex. So I think you're pretty set at quarterback for the most part. And then your running back, obviously ETN is awesome. Algier, I do like Algier as well. I have him on my dynasty team. Algier's pretty solid. Tony Pollard, that's obviously a nice person to have. And then we get to the wide receivers, and it just let me down once I got to the wide receivers. As I was looking up and down this team, I saw Burrow, I saw ETN. I was like, all right, now we're rolling. And then I looked at the wide receivers, and then I was just let down. So pretty good. And then tight ends, Uzama's good. Njoku, obviously. Gesicki, solid. So I think he's pretty solid anywhere but wide receiver, which is
Yeah,
probably the most
Derek. What?
important.
Derek? Yeah, man.
Outside of quarterback in this format.
Yeah, we are. I mean, got
But
nothing really.
he has the 103, so
Does have the 103.
that's
Now we
big.
got some options, right? Do we go with the QB? Do we go with do we go with the JSN? Do we trade that pick and move back and get some more assets? So we definitely got a bunch of options here.
Oh, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Go ahead, studs, core players. What are we looking at?
Really two, Burrow and ETN. Everybody else is kind of Njoku obviously at the tight end spot is good, but he's not untouchable. So really, it's really Joe Burrow, ETN, and the 103. That's your studs right now.
Yeah, it's definitely the studs. I wouldn't even say those are untouchable. Like, because I think we have to move ETN almost here.
I was kind of thinking along those lines too. As much as it hurts me to say that, you kind of might have to get better at wide receiver.
Marty said build around Rager. Fuck Rager.
I love that. I love that for this team.
Oh God. Yeah, there's a bunch of nonsense we got up in here with some of these wide receivers, but he said we got some things on the bottom here I put in here. He said thoughts of packaging RBs for wide receivers or packaging Watson for depth. Thinking of targeting Stroud Young for a QB3. I like the idea there. What does the team needs, Hammer? I think obviously we need wide receiver, but
yeah, it's wide receiver, and it's not just a wide receiver. It's a wide receiver, a number one wide receiver. We talked about this on the previous roster, but this is a team that you have some foundational pieces there, and you also have good value in some of these pieces, namely ETN and that 103. So you really got to make sure you do your due diligence if you're going to move those picks and players.
You're gonna target. All right, perfect. All right, trade pieces, trade targets. What are we looking at, Hammer? What's some trade pieces that we're trying to move? Obviously, we kind of just briefly had spoke about it, but running backs.
ETN Algier, that 103.
Etienne, Algier, and the 103. Now, he said he's thinking of targeting Stroud or Young. I like it for the QB3. Maybe even possibly the QB2. Do we take that QB trade golf and just go straight Young, or do we trade that pick and move back, pick up extra assets? Would definitely shop the pick and see what you can get. Like, just see what's out there. You got to kind of know the market of what you can get. If it makes sense, then it makes sense. If not, then you just hold on to the pick. But can you move back to the 106, 107 and pick up more assets? I don't want to go further than that, but we got ETN, we got Algier, we've got Christian Watson. Now, ETN top 5 dynasty RB. We move ETN.
ETN straight up for CD Lamb.
One of these
I'll
wide
take that.
receivers we like, right? When you go after the CDs, the Waddle, St. Brown,
Olave.
T. Higgins, right? The same guys we keep talking about: T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, right? Jerry Judy, Olave.
But I think because unlike the previous team, there's more value here in what he's able to trade. So if you're going to trade ETN, I'm not taking Jerry Judy. I'm going after CD Lamb. You know what I mean? There's a big difference.
We might have to give up a little bit more. Have to give up more with ETN to go and get that, but
I'll give up ETN in the 203.
Yeah, if you can give that up, you can give up ETN in 203. I'll absolutely take CD Lamb.
I don't like the idea of taking a quarterback with that third pick, honestly, just because I think you're solid with Burrow and Goff. Obviously you're going to need a third quarterback at some point.
The problem is the value of that quarterback outweighs everything. I mean,
I get it.
CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are going in the second round of startup drafts. Who else is going in the second round of startup drafts? You can literally buy, almost anybody that you want with that particular pick. So, if we shop it, I mean,
I don't mind the idea of what you said of trading that 103, maybe moving back to the 106 and getting another piece with it. I'm actually comfortable with that. But or you could just pick JSN and slot him right in.
You could do that too. You could just go JSN at the 103. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I've got him. I've got the 103 in a couple leagues, and I'm not opposed to taking JSN over one of those QBs. If you're, depending on what you particularly need, you pretty much want to go best player available. But like, I feel JSN is a straight, I think he's a sure thing, and obviously that's hard to say. We never obviously know, but all the signs, point towards him being an elite wide receiver. So, Etienne, Algier.
I think Tony Pollard still has some value too. So I'm not.
We got Pollard down there as well. So shit.
I think Pollard has even more value now with Zeke not being there. Even coming off the injury.
Algier and ETN. I think that's why I'm not opposed to taking the quarterback, because you do take the quarterback now. You can use golf as trade bait. You got ETN, you've got Algier, and you've got Pollard. You've got all those 4 guys now. We can transfer over to that wide receiver position, or you can do it vice versa. You can trade the pick, and keep golf and do that vice versa, or you can just use the pick. But you've got Watson. Let's just say you take JSN at 103. You've got Watson. You've got JSN. Let's say you move ETN and you wind up getting Olave, I guess, in that range. I mean, it's going to be tough to get, depending how these guys feel. But let's just say you're able to pull off one of those guys, Olave, London. You've got Watson, JSN, Olave, London. You got Pollard. You can move as well. Let's just say you move Pollard for a Judy or something like that, right? Now you're looking pretty good at wide receiver. You're not looking good at running back, but that's okay. But you've got guys now you can try and at least build around going forward, and you'll still have the two QBs. So it's tight end premium. I mean, you got Njoku. I'd probably just keep him and call that a day. You could use him for trade bait if you want, but you don't really have anybody else that you can slide in there, you know, unless you keep the 203 and take one of those tight ends. I think I just want to keep Joku though. Do we trade him on that position? Because it is tight end premium. He is gonna be more valuable than typical.
I like Njoku there. That's one of the guys we're always talking about going and getting.
Yeah. I like the Njoku there too, so that's a tough spot. But yeah, I definitely want to get one of these wide receivers that we were talking about, or a few of them. You've got guys that do have some value now. Your RB room is gonna suck, but that's fine. We need to transfer this value over, before those guys lose the value that they have.
Especially at running back, that value
So
gets lost very quickly at that position.
let me pull up. See if I can find any. Have you seen any recent Pollard trades recently?
Not really, just because he is coming off the injury. But I'm sure he obviously has solid value that you can, especially if he's in the package.
Keep trade cuts got Pollard worth like the 107. Worth Christian Watson, DJ Moore. In that range. Christian Watson, DJ Moore. Uke, I don't love. Judy. Oh, yeah, that's kind of perfect. That's the guy that I threw in that range.
Pollard for Judy. Yeah,
Judy maybe plus, maybe Judy plus, Hollywood plus. You can probably get for Pollard, maybe. Straight up, I'd do it, but you might be able to get plus. Or even the pick. I'd take even the pick if it's, you can get the 107. I doubt it, though. I mean, there's a lot of running backs coming out, so. A lot of people are very high on Pollard, so that's the tricky part too. Some people are high, some people are not. I mean, we're not crazy high on him, but
I like him, but I just I don't.
That's the main thing is his role is his role. Like I just don't think he's going to be the guy they're just going to turn over, give the 3-down workhorse role to. I mean, no.
Yeah, because I feel like people are automatically looking at what he did last year with Zeke there and automatically thinking that because Zeke's gone, Pollard's going to make up for that lost production or just be the main workhorse back, and that's not going to be the case.
No, and there's not even security there either because he only is on
franchise.
Only on the franchise tag, so we don't even know if they're going to re-sign Pollard. So that's another part of the risk that you kind of gotta bake into it. So
agreed.
All right, so yeah, let's target maybe Judy with Pollard. Would you kind of agree with that?
I guess 100%.
In that kind of range.
That's a solid deal.
What else we got? Algier.
Algier is interesting because I think he's a good running back and he'll have some good value, but I don't know what Atlanta's going to do in the draft.
You know who I like to target with Tyler Algier? Elijah Moore.
Okay. I don't mind.
Guys with some upside, like that are relatively cheaper.
Kadarius Toney's interesting.
Let me see who else is around this particular range. See anybody else really? Wendell Robinson's could be a little cheaper, a cheaper buy. Just trying to throw out some other fucking names in there. Yeah, we need to move over. So if we can get Judy, if we can get who did I just say?
Wandell, Kadarius.
Elijah Moore, right? And then ETN, if we can get a big one for ETN, if we could get those, a CD, Amon Ra type, T. Higgins, Olave, Olave, Drake London.
Mm-hmm.
Hope I'm not missing anybody else. Monta, DK, right? If we could get any one of those guys, I think then we've turned our team around totally because that's one, two, three more wide receivers. That gives you four wide receivers, and you're still holding on to Watson.
And you still got the 103.
You still got the 103 to play with. So, we get that QB. Do we take that wide receiver? So you've got things to play with there. So maybe hold off on trading the 103. I mean, see what you can get for the 103. But maybe the first course of action is trying to get off of these running backs and transfer those to wide receivers, and then kind
Mm-hmm.
of taking it from there and say, okay, now what should I do now with the 103 that I've made some of these changes? I'm good, pretty good at wide receiver now, and then
Yeah.
take it from there.
At that point, if you're able to get two or three good wide receivers by moving your running backs, then at that point, why not take the quarterback?
Yeah, you have the value, you have the security now at quarterback, and then of course you can always move that in the future if you need to. But then you're at least in a lot better situation. Running backs, then you're gonna have to try and pick it up from there, right? Can we buy Gibby for relatively cheap? You got a bunch of third round picks. I don't know they're gonna necessarily be worth, but you draft just a bunch of running backs in those, in that second round, third round, right? So, the 203, if you keep that pick or you use that to trade, I mean, you got some options there. Running backs, 211 running backs, 301, 303, 309, 312 running backs, right? You just drafting a bunch of running backs and hoping that, one of them is a backup or can give you or can carve out some kind of role that you can just start there.
Mm-hmm.
But at least then you have value wrapped up in your wide receiver position. You have young wide receivers that you can build around. So now going forward, at least then all you have to worry about is that running back position. So, I'd rather have to find a running back than find a wide receiver if I'm looking down the line for the future to build around, right? So think Hammer.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect way to look at it because I think if you are able, like I said, if you're able to transfer that running back value to the wide receivers without giving up the 103, now you essentially have your pick of the litter. And these running backs, bro, they're a dime a dozen. Let's just call it what it is, So from that standpoint, while you do have the value, and something I mentioned earlier, that you want to trade them while they still have the value, because these running backs lose value so quickly that you could look a year and a half down the road, 2 years down the road, and these running backs won't have any value. So that I think that's a smart play.
So I think that's the best course of action here. And worst case scenario, you can't trade any of these picks. You're stuck with these picks, and you're making them 103. Like we said, best player available, whether that's the QB or JSN. 203, 211, 301, all those picks. I would just look for running backs there. Maybe even tight ends at the 203, right? If the Kincaid or Mayer's there, the value that has as well. You take one of those guys, or maybe you move one of those picks on the clock if one of those guys are available. It's another option as well that you can do. So you definitely got some options. Gabriel, let us know how this shit works out. But you got anything else you want to throw in there, Hammer?
Nah. There's enough value here to make it work. I think that's
Yeah,
that's
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 the main
the that's the positive outlook for this team. Is where you do have the value and you do have guys that people will want. So it's not like it shouldn't be terribly difficult to kind of get this moving and kind of get those wide receivers that you really need.
thing. And again, I'm okay with shopping golf as well. If we are going to take that,
Yeah,
QB,
I would agree.
you could trade either one of those. So you've got a QB there as well that you can, you can trade also. So yeah, if we can pick up some of those wide receivers, and then you can use golf or you can just hold them, but it's good to at least see what
What's
you
out
can
there?
get, right?
Mm-hmm.
See what's out there, because if you can make your team better, giving him up, I mean, is what it is. You still got Purdy, you still got Baker. Who knows if those guys start? But depending on what you get, sometimes you pull that trigger and just roll with two, for now. Worry about the rest later. But I'm okay with even holding all three, like I said, also. So, you hold all three quarterbacks if you're able to transfer that value over to that wide receiver position from that running back position, then you're gonna be, you're gonna be in good shape. So I like it. I like it.
Yeah, solid team. Definitely pieces that you could work with.
Well, I guess that wraps up the 2 roster reviews. You got anything else you want to talk about? I don't think there's any. Was there
Nah,
any other news? Haven't
the
even
only
really
thing the only thing was the Odell news.
was the latest, right?
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert taking a swing. All right, I guess we're about to get up out of here. We'll be back on Wednesday night. We got our Wednesday night mock drafts. I'll be on. Hammer won't be, but then
Don't
Thursday
worry.
night we'll be on 420 Hustler Network. So make sure y'all check us out there. What do we got? Tight ends we're running over this week, I think.
So we did running backs. We didn't do.
Yeah, I think we got tight ends we got to do this week. Richie James signed with KC. Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about Richie James. Whatever.
Does that move the needle?
No. It doesn't do any, it doesn't do anything for me, Richie James.
Bagala loves him some Richie James.
I get it if they just want some depth there, but it seems like they're not trying to go get a big gun. I mean,
They don't really need to because they traded for Kadarius. They have Sky Moore. MVS is still there. Kelsey, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean Justin Ross. They were showing Mahomes throwing the other day. Like, yeah, I mean it's great. He's got no pads and everything on, but is he going to be okay to actually take a hit? Like, that's the big thing with Justin Ross. He's a little bit sneaky upside, but. All right, guys, let's get up out of here. Marty, peace. Derek, everyone else out there, thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you're not. But appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all Wednesday.
Yes, sir.